Hi everybody, it's Wanda. Okay, it occurred to me after watching Melly D's video again, she didn't use any Floetrol like I used in my paints because I used paints that I had mixed up earlier which had Floetrol in them. I only saw the Liquitex pouring medium in her videos sitting there with her paints. So I have used it, and I have used the Liquitex Basics in light blue and the Artist Loft metallic blue, and the way I did it was I put it in my cup. Then I added water until I got it to the consistency that's about the same as you would have with one of your like folk art or deco art when you pour it out of the bottle. So that's the consistency that I brought it to just using water. Then I added probably a fourth of the pouring medium to the amount of paint on top of that and stirred it in. And then I added more water to get it to the consistency that I wanted. And I hope, I mean, to me, these are pretty thin for a tree ring pour, but I'm hoping that they turn out all right. So I have those two colors mixed that way. The white is, as she said, half Flow Acrylic Artist Loft and half Deco Art Satin Enamel. And then to that, I've added probably 2 to 3 teaspoons of the pouring medium because I wanted more of the white. And it's flowing pretty good. It seems pretty thin. It doesn't seem quite as thin as the paint, but I want it to kind of hold together and hold the other paint together with it. So hopefully that's what we'll get. It takes 7 ounces. This is a 14 by 14 canvas. It takes about 7 ounces. I probably have 2 ounces here, 1.5 ounces here. I've got almost 5 here. So I should have about 8 ounces if I use it all. So the first thing I'm gonna do is put a little white in my cup. See how that flows. I don't want too much because I don't want at the very end the whole inside to be completely white. I'm just gonna put enough to just cover the cup a little bit. I actually think it could be just a little bit thinner. So I'm gonna add a little bit more water to it. Stir it in good. That's my consistency on it. That's the consistency on this light blue. So I'm gonna put a little bit of that in there now. A little bit more white. Seems to be flowing a little bit better. Some more light blue. White. A little bigger amount of light blue. A little bit more white. The rest of the light blue. And that actually kind of fell down in the cup instead of just being a layer. But actually, if you notice, her cups are not entirely just layered. She does have them blended in some. So that's the end of the light blue. I think this dark blue is awfully dark, so I hope that the white does lighten it up well. And maybe the light blue will help to lighten it a little bit too. And it's a metallic, so we'll see how that goes. This is the last of this metallic blue. It seems to be sinking a little bit. But it's also spreading out in the white. So that's good. And I'm going to finish off with the white. I'm using all this up because it has Liquitex pouring medium in it, which is not cheap. Okay. So, and it also occurred to me watching my video that you can't see how I'm pouring if I'm standing here pouring right-handed like I do. So, I'm going to try doing it standing at the end of the table and pouring so that you can see it come out. And my table is not level. And I also thought I saw a lump in the white satin paint. So I'll have to look for that. See if I see a lump somewhere. I do not do the best ring pours, by the way. Okay. I have a little trail right there. I'm gonna round that out a little bit. And what dripped, these little drips, I'm not too worried about because we're gonna have white popping up all over the place anyway if this works. So, and this is a dry canvas, has not been previously poured on for a base coat. I don't know what that is. It just looked like it was hanging up. So I should have had enough paint. I guess we'll see. I hope I don't lose all that blue. Lots of bubbles. That looks cloudy. You know, since I'm a little bit worried that I don't have enough paint, I may go see if I have some Artist Loft white and just go around here and see if that helps it to move some. Put that over there. Put that right up against that paint so there's no gap. And it helps it to move that way. Okay. Let's see what happens. I think this might be working better. this looks wonky, which can often mean you have a clump of something in there. That either could be thicker paint. It doesn't necessarily have to be just like a dried up piece of paint. It can just be thicker paint. I think this paint is thinner that I poured than the white because it seems to be running over the top of it. So that may cause a problem. Still looks like there's a clump of something down in there. There was. Why is the cloud effect working so good on the area I don't want to pour off, but I need to move over? Another clump. This is frustrating. I'm just gonna have to go for it. I see another bunch of clumps. That was a gigantic clump. May not have gotten it all. Yep. I don't know if that's that white or what. Might as well use that paint instead of letting it just run off. Okay, here we go. But more clumps, they're everywhere. Maybe I didn't get the blue stirred up good. Since it started out as 2 paint, when I mixed the water into it, I may have put a little too much water to begin with and not gotten it stirred up good. But it's still kind of spacey, cloudy looking. It's just not exactly what I was going for. Which, how many times have we said that? So, let's see if there's any paint on there still left to move, because if there is, moving it might create more cells. Doesn't seem to be moving a whole lot. I still see clumps. This part is so pretty right here. I don't really want to stretch it down that way and stretch all this weird. If I could stretch it anyway, it would be to stretch this blue out a little bit so it'd match more over here. I don't know if it's moving or not. I cannot tell. It is right at the end of that ring. So right in here is where it's moving. I'm not liking this. I know, I'm picky. Okay, it's moving down a little bit, I can see. Okay, I'm gonna leave it like that. I think I'll leave it like that. And see if anything else pops up. This is more like hers, I think. So I think the Liquitex in the regular paint has made a difference. It's a pretty painting. Hopefully, it'll cloud up some more. Over in here would be nice. I think there's a possibility I didn't get that paint mixed good enough. I did not mix the paint good enough. It's hard to mix that tube paint. That's why I always buy flow paint instead, because it's already thinned down some for you. Saves you a little labor. So I'm gonna cut the camera off and I'll wait a few minutes and time it and come back and give you an up close of it and we'll see. But I don't think it's gonna change a whole lot. And that paint was fairly thin for me, I think. I mean, it wasn't watery thin. I wouldn't think I would want it much thinner because you want it to cover the canvas. I mean, I don't know. But definitely, if you're not going to put down a base coat, you need to have it really thin or use more paint than it calls for in the chart. So, let me cut it off right now, and I'll see you in just a minute. It has been 5 minutes. And I do think that these are more clearly defined. And this up here is more clearly defined. And the inside looks gorgeous and doesn't just look like a white blob. So I'm very happy with this. And I think using the Liquitex pouring medium in with the paint is what made the difference. It gives it such definition. All those lines just are so much more divided and so much plainer and easier to see. So definitely looks somewhat cloudy, and I think it's pretty, especially right there in the middle, which most of them, most ring pours don't look that pretty in the middle, or they don't for me. Maybe you have better luck than I do. So I would call this a success. I'm pretty happy with this. So thank you, Melly D, and for those that are watching, there will be links to her videos in my description box. Thank you so much for watching, for joining me on my art journey and my expedition into adventure, because this is something that's an experiment and it's just fun every single time you do it. It's just fun. Even if you get disappointed, you usually learn something. So another thing is video your own pours. If you have an iPhone, now I don't know anything about Androids because I've never had one. Video your own pours. Then they will upload to iCloud. Then you can go back to iCloud and watch your pours without having to load them up to YouTube. So if you want to, do that for yourself, be sure and put what medium you used, how thin or thick you mixed your paints, what paints you used, what brands you used, what colors they were, what technique you're going for, whether or not you thought it was a success. Put all that stuff in there just like you're making a video for somebody else, and make it for yourself, because it really, really does help you when you go back and review them to remember exactly what it was that you did that day. And if you have a painting, I've had a painting that I absolutely loved, and 2 weeks later I didn't have a clue how I did it. That's why I started videoing to begin with. So thank you for joining me. I hope that's a helpful tip for you. Leave a comment, a yes or a no, whatever you think. Just put it all out there. I'm up for it. And thank you so much for watching. And I hope that you learned something just like I did. So have a great evening, day, night, evening, whatever, morning, whatever time you are in whatever time zone. Thank you again.